welcome. Get a clue, casual gamer, about a non-definitive basic startup game collection. I had to write that down because there was no way I was going to remember all that. This video is about a non-definitive, yeah, whatever that word is, basic startup game collection. I am going to share with you 7 categories, or do it this way, 7 categories, and I'm going to give you a suggestion as to if you're wanting to start non-just mass market. I have some mass market games. I'm not knocking them, but I also know there are some better games out there as well. And if you're looking to add 1, 2, or 7 different categories of types of games, I'm going to give you some suggestions. They are my suggestions, please. I know, and the truth is, it was very hard. I have them, I'm surrounded by them. I tried to pick mostly ones that have been around for a couple years because they're easier to find, easier to get. There's a couple that are just 1 or 2 years old, but for the most part, they're modern classics, and should be easy to find. Okay, and reasonably priced. The ones I have here tend to run, the most expensive one is $40, and it can run down to about $14, $15. So think between $15 and $40. So let's get a clue. C-L-U-E, but we're not going to be looking at each one of these individually. Every single one of these has a video that I've done about it. So any one of these that piques your interest and you haven't seen that video, you can go back to Get a Clue, Casual Gamer on YouTube, and watch the video that pertains to that specific game. I am just giving you a quick overview because I know you don't want to be here for 2 hours while I talk about each one individually. So the first one, first category is basically the modern classic. A modern classic that has really bridged into the mass market enough that non-gamers recognize the name, even if you've never played it. And when I did the videos for this category, I had people commenting, "It's my favorite game." And I know that they're not major gamers, but it has bridged from playing the mass market games that we all grew up with and become a modern classic that is available in almost the same places as any other mass market game. So what I've done is I'm giving you 2 suggestions for each category, and I'm going to give you one that I think is a little bit, maybe from my point of view, a little bit easier to play, but I'm going to also give you a second choice so that you can choose between the 2. Again, none of these is super difficult. I'm looking at what gamers consider, and yeah, none of them go past 2.4, with 5 being difficult, 4 being hard, 3 being challenging, 1 being old maid. So let's get a clue about this list. What kind of a collection can you create to begin with? A minimal collection that should cover all sorts of different game situations. Okay? So the first one is the modern classics. A modern classic. And my choice for the easiest, because both are easy, the easiest of the modern classics is Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is set collection, card drafting, you're building a railroad line from one place to the other, in this case the United States, and there's all kinds of different ones, but this one's the United States. Ticket to Ride, you're just playing, trying to fill those tickets from one city to another and get the points for doing it. That's it. That's simple, and it is a modern classic. Ticket to Ride. Probably what I consider a little bit more challenging, but still not hard at all, is Catan. Catan is actually one of the, quote, most difficult on this entire list at a 2.3. Ticket to Ride comes in at a 1.85. This is a 2.31. It used to be called Settlers of Catan. It's now called Catan. And you go look for the red and orange box. Don't look for any of the other colors, because this is the base game. Okay, it plays 2 to 4 players. Ticket to Ride plays up to 5 players. This one plays 2 to 4. And it looks like this once you've put together the board. And all you're doing with this is also set collection and card drafting, and you're selling and buying and building. Just like Ticket to Ride, you build this line of trains. Here you're building settlements and cities and roads. And that's this game. Settlers of Catan, or Catan. They changed the name to simplify it to Catan. It's a modern classic. Ticket to Ride or Catan, and you'll have a modern classic. Next is tile laying. Think dominoes. You're laying down tiles. Dominoes. Well, the first one on my easiest category is King Domino. King Domino. Recognize dominoes. King Domino, you are laying down these cardboard tiles that each side has some sort of train, and you're building a kingdom. This is a very simple game. It plays 2 to 4 players, and you're just taking, but you get to choose which tile you're going to take for your next turn while you play this turn's tile. Yeah. It's a tile laying game. Very simple. You're creating a 5 by 5 square, unless it's 2 players, and you can choose to do a 7 by 7 square if you're 2 players. There's enough tiles to do that. And you're just trying to build the best kingdom. That's it. And it all depends on how much farmland you have next to farmland, and how much woods, forests you have next to forests, and rock caves next to rock caves, and water next to water. I mean, that's it. That's what you're doing in King Domino. You're laying down tiles to create your kingdom. King Domino, a tile laying game. Another tile laying game that might take a little bit more thinking ahead. Not hard at all, but you have a little bit more thinking ahead, not just in this turn, but in the next round, because there's several rounds to this game, and it's Azul. There are several different kinds of Azul. This is the original one. There are 4 different Azuls now because it's that popular. Just like King Domino has 4 different King Dominoes, Azul has 4 different Azuls. This is the original, and that was the original of the King Domino. Again, you're laying down tiles and you're creating patterns. You're laying down tiles here during your round, and at the end of the round you move them over, and you're creating, trying to get special scoring depending on what tile you've put where. And that's the game. You're laying down tiles trying to create the best point combination that you can do. And that is a beautiful game. Good, solid, plastic thick tiles with these patterns on them. These are the patterns on those tiles. Beautiful, beautiful game. Good, sturdy game. Azul, a tile laying game. Now we're going to go to what I call card drafting and buying type of game. And oh, I've moved them around, new pile. And my quote easiest one is Splendor. Splendor is one where you get to pick up, and when it's your turn, some gems and use your gems to buy cards, and then the gems on the cards plus these gems to buy other cards that are worth points, and or get the notice of royalty and get their points. So basically you're getting gems and cards and spending gems and cards. That's the game. That is Splendor. And they're good chunky. Those gems are on nice quality plastic, thick plastic, like casino chips type thing, you know, good size. And so that's Splendor, and it is what I'm calling a card drafting game, where you're and also gem drafting game, because you're picking up gems, you're picking up cards. In the same vein, we have another card drafting, but this time it's also spice drafting. That one, Splendor, was gems and cards. Century Spice Road is spices and cards. The spices, of course, look like little cubes. Little cubes of spice. And you're picking up and you're drafting cubes, you're drafting cards, and you're spending them to buy ones that are worth points. That's the game. It's a simple game. Both of them are very similar in their mechanics. I just put Century Spice Road a bit above Splendor because there are so many more little cubes to keep track of. That's it. That's the only reason I chose it to be harder than Splendor. Splendor, you only have 7 of those chips per gem style type. And in this one, you have like 40 yellow and 40 red and 25 green and 25 brown, I think. I mean, you know, so, and plus 10 silver coins and 10 gold coins. There's more components to keep track of. That's the hardest part, is, you know, it's a little bit more setup and put away. It's really, they're both wonderful card drafting and buying, you know, kind of like market games. Both wonderful games, and they both play 2 to 4 players. Next, we go to cooperative games. And for my easier, because you can choose an easy track for it, is Horrified. And it's a newer game. It just came out in 2020, I believe. But it's so popular that in 2021, they came out with a sequel already. But Horrified is a cooperative game. Everyone works together to get rid of the campy Universal movie creatures like Dracula and Frankenstein and the creature from the Black Lagoon and those kind of, the Invisible Man. All of those are optional monsters to fight against cooperatively. Everyone works together against the game, against the monsters. So it's cool looking. I mean, look at the little close up here are the monsters. They have little miniatures for it, and it's a lot of different little things. But because you're working together, you can really have some fun at it. And save the villagers, protect the villagers, get rid of the monsters before they kill all the villagers. Yeah, Horrified, cooperative game. And another cooperative game that's been around for a little while now, like 13 years or so, I think. Let me look and see. I've got notes here. Yeah, it's been around 12, 13 years. 13, next year will be 14. Pandemic came out in 2008. Pandemic is a cooperative game where you are trying to keep pandemics from happening, for keeping them at bay and eradicating them before they eradicate all of the cities and you have a major global pandemic. Yeah, I know it's like, yeah, it's been almost 2 years. Yeah, I know. But this actually had nothing to do with what we're going through right now. Yet it's a wonderful game to be able to play cooperatively with friends and family and feel powerful over a pandemic. You're trying to get rid of, keep at bay, and to find the cure for several pandemics. This is so popular. It's for so many years. They have come up with so many different versions of pandemic, but this is the classic. This is the original. This is the original version, Pandemic. So that's another co-op game. Now, the next category is a two-player game. And so I have two different versions of this one, but I'm using the small box for this. They all play exactly the same. Two-player game, quote, the quote, easier part is Patchwork. This happens to be Patchwork Express, but there's Patchwork Original, Patchwork Americana, Patchwork Christmas, Patchwork Express, and Patchwork Halloween. They all play exactly the same. It's just the colors and layouts are a little bit different, but that's it. I think they changed a little bit of the scoring in the Halloween one, which just came out last month, but all the rest play exactly the same. Express is just a little bit smaller quilt that you're creating. And you're putting together, you're getting tiles. It's a tile laying game as well. You're laying down tiles to create the best quilt with the most points, the most buttons, because here your currency and points are buttons. So you're trying to create the best quilt using polyomino shaped pieces or Tetris shaped pieces. And so this is Patchwork, but it's a two-player game. Only two players play at this game. No more than that. Just two. No less than that. Just two. Patchwork Express. Oh, that one is Patchwork Express. Another two-player game that is probably a little bit more thinky. You have to think ahead a little bit. And it's Jaipur. Jaipur, you are drafting cards. You're making sets with cards. You're picking cards. They're really not drafting. You're drafting cards, but then you're spending them. And you spend them, for instance, 3 green cards will get you 3 green tokens that are worth points each one, and a token for selling 3 at one time. So you're basically collecting sets, just like in rummy. You're collecting sets of similar items and then selling them for points. And that's this game. So basically, I mean, it's really not a hard game. None of them are. But it is a 2-player game, just like Patchwork was, Jaipur. And because you have to think, not just this move, but next move, that's the only reason why I say it's hard, a little bit harder than Patchwork, because you really do have to think a little bit, even though with Patchwork you have to think ahead too, because you don't want to put a shaped piece that's going to mess you up, not being able to fill in a space on your quilt. So, but neither of them, again, neither of them is super difficult at all. I mean, at all. They are all casual games. You can talk while you're playing. You can have fun while you're playing. You can munch on snacks while you're playing, as long as you're not making, the pieces dirty. Okay, so that was 2-player games. Now we're going to look at roll and writes. Remember, grandfather of roll and writes, it was Yahtzee. You roll some dice, you write something down. You roll some dice, you write something down. So, for an easy one, this is actually a new game. I believe it came out earlier this year. In fact, let me see. Yeah, and it's called Super Mega Lucky Box. I have my little stretchy thing on this one still because I didn't want to take it off to keep it from getting all messed up. But anyway, Super Mega Lucky Box. It's actually technically a flip and write, but it's kind of like a cross between bingo and tic-tac-toe. You draw everyone, there's cards with numbers on it, and somebody flips a card, and that number, everybody who's playing can X out that number on one of their cards. You start off with 3 cards, and you try to fill the cards as well. Once you fill it, you can get another one. Or actually each round you can get another one. But sometimes if you fill across, you get a special thing that you get either receive or a number that you can cross out on some other card. And so all you're doing is flipping a card with a number, and everyone X's out that number. That's it. I'm telling you, it's a flip and write. Super Mega Lucky Box. Very easy to bring to the table, very easy, and it's wipe off markers. So you actually write on the cards and then wipe them off at the end of the game and reuse them over and over again. And it comes with really nice markers too. They're very nice, fine pointed markers. I like those. And for something a little bit more difficult, because that is super, super, super simple, we have Biblios, Quill, and Parchment. There is a Biblios card game, so don't get that confused. This is the roll and write. You roll a bunch of dice, fancy looking dice, and even though this looks very complicated, it's not as complicated as you might think. And you're just, each time you have your turn, you're going to roll your dice and fill in, X out what it is. Like these dice X out here, and these dice add up over here, and this die goes up here and goes walking around this little map there. I mean, that's it. That's the game. You're just trying to get as many points and work it out depending on what comes up on the dice. And that is Biblios, Quill, and Parchment. It is a little bit more thinky, actually, than Super Mega Lucky Box. This plays up to 6 players, and this, I believe, is still just 4, up to 4 players. But it is a very good game. It has a little bit of thinking, but it's a casual level. There are some roll and writes that are much, much more thinky, much heavier game. This is not one of them. This is still a casual game. And those two, Super Mega Lucky Box and Biblios, Quill, and Parchment, are my roll and write category. And then last, we had 2 players, but what if you're having a party and you have a lot of people? 7 to 10, maybe even. Well, party games. In fact, I think this one, came out last year, Hues and Cues. And I think one of the designers got a hold of me when I did the review of it, or not a review, but the get a clue about it, and kind of cool. But Hues and Cues is a very, very simple party game. You can teach it in 2 minutes and start playing, and people pick up on it very quickly. And it plays up to 10 people. Up to 10 people. It's a 3 to 10, I believe, 3 to 10 people. And it's a quick game. It's not a long game. Well, it can be as long as you want it, because you can just keep on going until you decide you don't want to do it anymore. It's a very, very simple party game. And, and the more people you have, the crazier it can be, without being silly. It's not one of those I don't want to embarrass myself type of silly games. It's a good game. It's a fun game, and it's an easy game. Even my sister, who doesn't like games, seemed to enjoy herself playing that one. And then as another party game, this one came out a couple years ago, 2019, and it's called Just One. And actually, I have the band around it because I have the equipment for 2 of them in here, because this game goes up to 7, and it's, I believe, 3 to 7 people. Let me double check. Yeah, 3 to 7 people. But I put in what you need from 2, so technically I could go up to 14 people with this because I've doubled it up. Excuse me. Very simple, but you need to write. You need to think of words. It's a little bit more thinky than Hues and Cues, but it's a party game. It's a fun game. You're just one person has a card that's facing away from them. They get to choose numbers between 1 and 5, and whatever word is next to that number, everyone else has this little stand that has that you can write on with a whiteboard marker, and you can write one word to try and help the person who's trying to guess the word. But once everyone has written their one word, everyone compares their word, and if any of them are duplicates, they can't be shown. Only the ones that are the only person who wrote that word, and then those are all shown to the person who's trying to guess, and from those words they try and guess the word that they're supposed to guess. For instance, the example here, they had chosen chocolate, and the suggestion, and people wrote milk, Belgian, sweet, sweet. So the 2 sweets cancels each other out. So all he had to go by was milk and Belgian. And he guessed chocolate. Milk chocolate, Belgian chocolate. Good guesser. But that is party games. Hues and Cues or Just One. And that is a list of 7 and 7. So there's 14 different games you can choose from to create a good, balanced beginning collection. I'm going to say that, beginning collection, because once you realize how much fun games can be that aren't the same games that we've been playing all of our lives, that they keep on just putting new pictures on and selling it to a new generation, there are so many games that come out. I'm telling you, last month over 200 games came out worldwide. Yeah, at least 40 or 50 of them in English. So there are always new games coming out. These are time and true. These have great reviews. I invite you to check out get a clue about them and somebody else's review, and even a how to play video by somebody, because there's all of these have somebody who's done something about it online. So just get a clue about something new for your house, for your family, for your group of friends. Happy gaming. Until next time, God bless. Bye.